Hansen, right?
All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
Donald Trump just concluded taking some questions. One of them, he absolutely filleted Joe Kent, who he was kind enough to give a job to, give him an opportunity to serve the American people again. And he just absolutely blew it, turned on him, and started becoming a serial fabricator. So yes, we do have enemies to the right. And I'm really getting tired of the bullshit from other people who, when we go out there to advance the cause, 10, 10, and 10, win elections, get people in there who can actually do and accomplish things. And then when we accomplish things, and people who sit on the sidelines with their cranks in their hands, doing absolutely nothing, complaining that everything happened, they're like, no, we didn't ask for this fight. Everybody should just calm down. No, maybe we would calm down if you would stop being a bunch of black pill doomer shitheads constantly trying to infiltrate, take over, and infect our movement with your stupid mind virus of idiocy. Welcome to the show on a Monday. It's been a fascinating weekend, folks. A lot happened this weekend. I'm going to go into all of it, and I'm going to show you exactly how these people work, how they know each other. See, everybody wants to be a rock star, until the camera gets turned the other direction. And then they start whining and griping and bitching and moaning like a bunch of little girls. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. The cameras got turned on me as if we didn't know you were there. You don't think it's a little weird how there are like 4 or 5 different exits and we walked out of that? You don't think that's... I don't know. Folks, a lot to talk about. I've been warning you about this cancer repeatedly, and now you know. Today's show brought to you by, we needed some of that, Monday morning blackout coffee. Here it is, official Bongino Army blend. Look at it, even said Bongino Army on there for you. Love blackout coffee. Drink it every day. Have 2, sometimes 3 cups a day because it's really good. It's bold, never bitter. I like coffee that tastes like coffee, not brown water. That's why we go with blackout coffee. We love it. Love the stuff. The Bongino Army Roast is terrific. Went through a couple different versions here. This is the one I think is the best. I absolutely love the taste of this. Dark roast, extra caffeinated. We built this together. Called Blackout Coffee, the official coffee of the Bongino Army for a long time because it is. Now we made it official with our own collaboration roast. Medium dark roasted for bold flavor and heavy body, amped with extra caffeine, strong without being bitter. Give it a shot. It's powerful without compromise. Even redesigned the bag for me right here on the valve. It says, sniff at your own risk because it smells like good coffee too. That'll wake you up in the morning. I drink this coffee every day. I don't put my name on anything I don't believe in. This stuff delivers, period. And don't forget their coffee club. Fresh roasted coffee shipped on your schedule. Free shipping every time. You can skip or swap anytime in seconds. It just makes the ordering process easier. So go to blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 20% off your first order. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino. Code Bongino. Pick up a bag. Squeeze it. Yeah, there you go. Some coffee for you in the morning. A beautiful coffee smell. Is there anything better? You know what coffee tastes extra better, by the way? On a Sunday morning. Don't ask me why. I don't know. All right, fellas, let's go. So I go out this weekend. There's a Republican club in the area. And because I'm an activist at heart and always have been, run for office, have raised money for candidates, showed up at fundraisers. And by the way, I prefer activism that's local. We have a lot of candidates on this show because it's an international show. So we'll have a lot of candidates running for office that are not local to me. I live in South Florida because it's a national audience. But my own personal Dan Bongino activist life is obviously focused on the localized community. I always like that Jordan Peterson line, make your own bed first, right? If you can't clean up and fix your local community, you're not going to have much impact nationally. So I do a lot of fundraising activities and a lot of charity work for the local community down here. And one of the groups I speak at probably every other year is the Martin County Republican Club. Martin County's in South Florida. We just go and do it because it's the right thing to do. It helps them sell tickets. So we agreed to go out this weekend. And by the way, this is probably one of the most MAGA-oriented clubs anywhere in the country. I think outside, the Martin County GOP is about as MAGA gets. Their office isn't very far from here, and there's Donald Trump stuff everywhere. They were one of the first people to come out for him. Matter of fact, South Florida is a hotbed of Donald Trump activism. They have a club down here, Club 47. It's the biggest MAGA club in the country. I speak there often as well. They get thousands of people. What's my point? The event I was at this weekend was a MAGA event, something we should celebrate, right? People showing up together to collectively discuss the issues du jour, what matters, how we're going to win the midterms, raising money because it's sadly but true, the mother's milk of politics. You've got to pay for TV ads and things like that. You would think this would be an event we would all collectively embrace on, correct? Not if you're the cancerous rot leftists, again, leftists secreting yourselves inside our movement, trying to fracture it. So in case you missed it, folks, this weekend, I've been telling you about the gatekeeper narrative, how there are a group of people infiltrating the right, pretending to be one of us, that want to destroy this movement. Why? We have to be very clear on this. Listen to me. Listen very good. They don't want the Donald Trump lineage to continue. They don't want Don Jr. to run. They don't want Eric to run. They don't want JD to run. They don't want Rubio to run. They don't want that lineage. They have their own idea of what this movement looks like. They openly talk about it, by the way. There's fiery speeches about what it would look like if Donald Trump was assassinated. This is not a secret. They talk about it all the time. They want the Trump vote, but they don't want the Trump with it. Do you get it? Trump vote, no Trump. That's what they want. So in order to get the Trump vote without Trump in it, they have to attack Donald Trump's record without attacking Donald Trump. So what do? They do this not so clever, stupid technique that there's a bunch of gatekeepers around Donald Trump. He's really a dumb, stupid guy, and a bunch of people are keeping information from him, and that's why this administration sucks, and that's why we're doomers so bad. But they don't attack him because they want the Trump vote without the Trump. So that's what they do. They try to attack him without attacking him. I brought this up multiple times because you got these guys who are really on our team, who are too dumb to see what's going on, who continue with this, hey, we can't do this infight. It's not infighting. These people are not in our club. They're trying to destroy our club. They show up at MAGA clubs and cause chaos. They had a group of them show up this weekend after this event, calling people, forgive me for the language, folks, in the show, but screaming and cussing, calling people, by the way, not just me and others, calling attendees as even faggots and others. These are guys telling you they're part of your crew. This actually happened. So because they were too stupid to even be semi-cryptic about what their agenda was, we walked right by them to see what they got. But before we did, we got a little photo. A couple of people took photos of these goons. I don't know. I only know one of the goons. So no, not that one, guys. Not that one. That's not the picture. That's it. That does look like them, but no, not that. That's wait, Andy's saying that's not the real one. That's not them either. That was that's Guy's personal favorite. So here were these three. Well, of course. Oh, look at this. No, you liked it. You wanted to throw that one in. If you're missing this on Apple and Spotify, here's the classic. By the way, we did not do these. These are just, of course, members of the Bongino Army. This is Guy's personal favorite. There they are in stormtrooper costumes. Two with their helmets on. Igor took his helmet off with his bald, goofy, mutt-looking face. That's Guy's video of the day, even though it's not a video. We'll call them photos of the day right there. So this was the actual real picture. By the way, that shirt is just a little too tight there, Igor. Well, what's going on there with that shirt? You trying to like show nipple or something like that? What's going on with that, buddy? Oh, Nicole Wallace gives Igor a 10. Look at Igor. He looks confused at the Hutchinson River Shores Hotel where he was not invited at a MAGA event. He's got Ogre in the back. I don't know who that is, or I don't care to. Ogre was as dumb as a box of rocks, by the way. And then he's got this little person who's got some disability, so I feel bad for him, who was screaming and yelling. That little person, you see the guy in blue? He was calling people faggots. Yeah, at the MAGA event. This guy, you know this guy? Yeah, I don't know him, folks. I never met this guy in my life. He seemed awfully angry, though. It was strange. He seemed awfully angry. It's Igor's buddy. So they showed up screaming at a bunch of MAGA people. But remember, it's infighting. For all those people, no enemies to the right. They were not invited. Nobody asked them to come to the event. I'm not even sure they bought a ticket to the event. And they decided it'd be a good idea to start screaming and yelling like lunatics, never thinking, of course, we would come on the air on Monday and show the whole world who they were in various forms of dress all weekend. Here's Igor, bald-headed goofball. By the way, Igor, do your parents tell everyone they have no living children looking like you? Really? I mean, listen, man, I get it. I don't claim to have a face for podcasts. That's why I enjoyed radio. But my gosh, if you had that Uncle Fester look, I would go hide. Does your mommy and daddy look like that? How's daddy look? How's daddy look, Igor? So Igor got quite upset when we actually started reposting as they became a mockery all weekend on meme. Hey, Linsky's rules, fellas. Ridicule. It's really potent. He didn't like it, Igor. So Igor went on some crazy man's podcast, another loser, and they went on whining. Oh, he's a free citizen. He could, yeah, I know. Here's Igor complaining on InfoWars about how he got nailed to the wall this weekend, looking like a tool with his nipple shirt. Check this out.
Private citizen, he's making memes, jokes. But what's the ultimate goal of doing this? Or the
to try to stop anybody else from doing it?
I mean,
Yes.
is he trying to intimidate me? I don't think that works, okay? And number two, while it's funny, we can laugh and chuckle about it, it lowers the IQ level of the conversation that we're trying to have. The discussion is, do we want a country that's America first or America second? Or do we want a country that's America tied for first?
So there's Igor with his nipple shirt there in the screen there, whining and bitching and moaning like a little girl. Mommy and daddy put you up there? Daddy, look. You got a daddy. There's Igor then bitching and moaning. By the way, Igor's at the event. Igor was there. Igor didn't have the balls to say anything. Igor just sat there. Igor tried to shake my hand. Hey, buddy, hey. And Igor got humiliated. By the way, when Igor and his two goons screaming faggot at everybody, when Igor and his goons got tossed out of the event, I got a call later from some people who witnessed it, said they were like crying. Said they were like these three tough guys who show up while I'm with my wife at a MAGA event, by the way, calling people faggots. Their words, I'm sorry I even have to repeat this up, but you can listen to the stuff yourself. They were proud enough to be like, look at this, we got this all on video. Yeah, you did, you got it on video. It didn't work out like you planned though, did it? I heard they were like crying and whining. Sorry, man, we didn't really. Tough guys. Ogre, 6'4", fat slob, little person. And Igor? Took three of you to go to an event to call a bunch of MAGA people faggots? Really? That's your let's get people elected, America first. And I love how Igor says, we just wanted to raise the discourse. You did by calling people faggots, but screaming at them in the lobby. I don't recall anyone asking us at the event to come in and ask a question or anything like that. Folks, I'm serious about this now. Obviously, these three goons now look like idiots. There's a cancer pretending to be part of our movement you cannot avoid. I'm really getting sick of a lot of these conservative, again, influencers who never did shit. These guys, they popped up on the scene, some of them, in the last 3-4 years, never done a damn thing. Put their name on a ballot, never agreed to serve. They're out there like, oh, we got to stop the podcast wars. This is an asymmetric unilateral war by a group of people who secreted themselves into this content creation ecosystem and pretended to be part of our unit while they're trying to destroy it. And you want everyone to just sit back? Levin, Shapiro, and others who are trying to warn you who've been through this before? You want us just to sit back and let the whole entire thing explode? I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing it. I've already told you. I am really proud that we have the biggest show out there. I'm proud of it. The fact that we get millions of views on our channel a week. We got like 4. I wasn't even in last week. We got 4 million views. Folks, that's not a pat on the back. That's just a fact against all the other people who want you to believe you're alone. Oh, no one's listening to that. No one's listening to these idiots. They do these two things. You need to be hyper attentive to it. whenever you hear the term from this network, Igor and his goofballs, the gatekeepers, and then they pretend they have hidden knowledge. They do these two things all the time. Trump is stupid. There's people keeping information from him, and Trump's not smart enough to know it because they want the Trump vote without the Trump. And then second, this is super important, they pretend they have some hidden knowledge, but they never, ever tell you what it is. You know, can I go a little out of order, Guy? You ever see the very popular podcast, Diary of a CEO? They invited us on. It was just on a topic we couldn't, it was an immigration. We couldn't make it happen. So maybe in the future, whatever. It's a very popular podcast. You see the clips all over TikTok and elsewhere. This is how they do. So you understand the gatekeeper component. Part number two is they have a piece of hidden knowledge. Candace does this. Joe Kent's doing it now. Igor and his boys are doing it now. Trump is being gatekept from this hidden knowledge we have, but they never, ever tell you what it is, ever. They never tell you who they think killed someone in a murder case. They're telling you suspicious. They don't say anything. All they do is they give you two data points, totally unrelated, and they let you make the connection. Here is this guest on Diary of a CEO. I saw this making the rounds this weekend, explaining exactly how this class of enemies, pretending to be part of us, are trying to create chaos without ever giving you any useful information. Watch this and bookmark it. This is good stuff. Check this out.
I heard you say something as well that if you want to persuade other people, you should make them feel clever.
Yeah.
Explain this to me.
I refer to this as maybe the most dangerous persuasion skill there is. And what the 10-second brief is, I'm going to put a Lego right here on the table in front of you. And I'm going to put another Lego right here on the table in front of you. And I'm just going to keep having the conversation to where eventually your brain is going to be like, oh, I bet those things go together. So the idea came from you. So I'm going to give you one piece of information and another piece of information, but I will never put them together for you. And the reason is that any idea that you think came from your own mind, you have no ability to resist it. So all I have to do is make you have an idea. So a regular example of this is, let's say you're watching the news and they say, local Austin woman has been reported missing. Neighbors said that earlier this day, people saw her arguing with her boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Details after the break. So,
yeah.
And your brain is like, oh, I know what happened.
That may be the most important clip I think we've ever played on the show with regards to the silo of psychological manipulation. Ladies and gentlemen, you're being subjected to a psychological operation, a psyop. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's them trying to create a conspiracy theory. It is absolutely true. They are using tried and true techniques of correlation without causation, knowing your brain will fill in the pattern to make you believe that they have a series and set of hidden knowledge you don't have about Charlie, Epstein, something else. This is what they do. They don't give a damn about Epstein. One of their boys is in the damn files. You don't see them pop it in there. They don't give a shit about the Epstein case. And if they gave a damn about Charlie and his family, they would stop trying to destroy a trial going on right now. I thought you believed in the Constitution, due process, a trial. They are using psychological weapons against you. Thankfully, I have an audience of people who are immune to this bullshit. They've seen it because who's tried to do it on them for the last 30, 40 years, depending on how old you are, my audience, the left. They're already immune to this bullshit. It's the newbies pretending to be part of our movement that are falling into this stuff. This doomer slop. Folks, your brain will create. Go watch that clip again if you're watching on demand. Put the Lego here, put the Lego here. Why does your brain do that? And say dogs won't do it as much. Dogs will do pattern recognition, but not like we do. It's a survival mechanism. You ever see the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks, where he gets stranded on an island, plane crashes? You've seen the movie, and at night he's sleeping and he hears this thump sound. And his first instinct, despite the fact that there's nothing particularly perilous about the sound, is he thinks someone out there's watching him and it's danger. He's taken this Lego and created a danger. And what was it? It's coconuts falling from the tree. It wasn't dangerous at all. But this has kept human beings alive, filling in blanks. What you're seeing in the environment, how your eyes and your ears and everything from your mouth and your tactile sense is not your perception of the world. The brain fills in blanks. That's what these people take advantage. Yes, optical illusions do this all the time. Joe Kent, Candace and others, Egyptian plane, was there when Charlie was there. And you're like, they must be related. But notice how they never tell you how. They make up all this bullshit. Folks, I'm going to show you the links between these doomers right now. You want to look around? All right. You sure? Because I got a bigger microphone than all of you combined. Here's this, so all of a sudden, I call out Joe Kent for lying to your face, disparaging the president, by the way, while pretending not to, because gatekeeper theory, remember. The president just a few minutes ago, if you got Justin, just called him out plain side, directly, telling you basically this guy's full of crap. I showed you the guy's full of crap. There's email records proving he's full of crap. And I'm going to document again how he's full of crap. And all of a sudden, these guys show up at a MAGA event calling people, you get the point, said it enough. Screaming like lunatics in the lobby, crying like little girls afterwards when they got tossed out. Here's a tweet by Joe Kent supporting Igor. Back is Igor's buddy. Elon Musk, can you please reinstate Igor so you can continue to provide constitutional and legal analysis? Really? And showing up at a MAGA event with his boys? One of them screaming, calling people faggots? That your boy, Joe? It's kind of weird how I called you out for lying. You're a liar. You are. And all of a sudden, I could prove you're a liar. I was there. I looked you in the face. You're a liar. And all of a sudden, weird, Igor shows up in his sombrero with Ogre and Little Guy. And Little Guy seemed awfully agitated. Think he had a little IBS. Maybe he ate a little something. Who knows? A sombrero. Maybe he had some Mexican that didn't agree with him. A little too many spices there, Little Guy? Seemed really upset. It's weird you run around calling people. It's strange. Here's Igor's buddy, Mike Flynn Jr. He was really, I guess he was upset. Badge of fucking honor, Mike Flynn Jr. That's his boy. Did you guys know that? Igor used to show up at CPAC in like a little dog, like a dog. Although with that Igor face, I'm not sure a dog would want a face like that. My dog Lucy's a little cuter. However, Igor used to show up at CPAC with his homie there, Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn, Dan, didn't you defend his dad? Yeah, I did for a long time. His dad went through his unforgivable. And yet his son is part of some op after you served and they sat on the sideline. His son, who's done absolutely nothing but grift off daddy's name. The only thing his son brings to the table is the junior portion. That's your boy. You prove of that? Showing up at a MAGA event? I thought you guys were Trump people. That's his buddy right there. He used to show up at CPAC. As a matter of fact, one of them took a selfie with him. Can I come on your show? Igor, can I come on your show? Please? Like a dog, begging like a dog, little Igor with his sombrero. He didn't bring his stormtroopers with him, though, back then, because he used to walk around CPAC like a little dog, asking everyone to come on the show. You remember that, Igor? Can I come on your show? By the way, Igor, you don't have as many friends as you think you have. I'll leave it at that. Because unlike you goofballs, I try my best to keep information private. However, you want to play? Let's play. Here's another one. Here's Mike Flynn, who I defended. And listen, if you watch this show and you're a P1, you're like, man, Dan, no one went to bat for this guy like you did. Yeah, I know. Now, all of a sudden, the grift started. And once they get used to the grift, it changes people. It's what changed Joe Kent. They see what happens with these guys like Kent and Flynn and his son and Igor. is there is a small group. I told you, it's the Mansur Olson, concentrated interest, diffuse cost. There's a concentrated interest of people who really just hate the Jews and everyone else. And if they find you to be a useful idiot, like Flynn and everyone else, they will make you a hero. So these guys want to be feted and they want palm fronds out there. Oh, we love you, because they know no one else cares about him except this small group of people. You know, it's crazy, but Bill Maher said it right this weekend. Bill Maher was like, no one knows any of these people. They know Trump. Their concentrated interest, they love these guys. See, I don't feel the need to be, but all you need to do to be popular is come out tomorrow and tell people how much you hate the Jews. Everybody on Twitter, all of a sudden the bots, you're the best. I actually care, though, about doing the right thing. And that's the wrong thing. Not like these tools. Here's Daddy a little while ago. Here again. You want to see the PSYOP in action? He claims to have some hidden knowledge, Mike Flynn Sr., about the Charlie Kirk crime scene he was never at. Knows nothing about the investigation at all, but he's got hidden knowledge, folks. He just doesn't tell you what it is. It's about 25 seconds or so. But I want you to listen to this. And again, who's the fraud and the liar? Check this out.
I don't believe that it was a lone wolf, 22-year-old tranny who wrote a perfect, whatever it was, text message to his lover or whatever. I mean, it was clear that they dirtied up the crime scene for certain. There's no doubt about that.
For certain. You know that, Mike? Really? You willing to say that under oath and provide any actual evidence? I've gone easy on this guy for a while because I feel bad for him, what he's been through. No one defended him more than me. I've written books about what happened to this guy, and it's a damn shame. But once the grift virus infects your mind, there's no saving you. And there's no saving him either. I love this show today. Thank you, Dan, for calling these people out. EK Harris, 68. I'm tired of these mother. You want to play? Let's play. We can do a show like this every day because I've got volumes of influence out there and an army of people who have receipts for days about all your bullshit. Now, Flynn and his groups, they host these events, and who pops up after betraying President Trump? Wow, look at that. Joe Kent does. So weird, right away. It's almost like this was an op the whole time. Really strange. Flynn, Igor pops up in South Florida. Who's paying these people? Igor pops up with Little Man and Ogre. Guy, keep in mind, guys who've never done jack shit. Here's Kent, again, lying to your face again. Lying to your face again, and I'm going to prove it because I was there. Now, whether Kent cares about disclosing classified information or not, he's going to have to deal with the U.S. government on that because it's illegal. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you that what Joe Kent's going to tell you in this clip about the all 18 intel agencies agreeing that Iran was no nuclear threat is absolute bullshit. He is totally, completely making this up to just jam it right in President Trump's face. Why? Because he wants to make sure their little grift going forward for their select candidate 2028 can run against the Donald Trump record. So he wants it on the record now, despite the fact that he knows the record says the opposite. Well, if he knows the record says the opposite about the USIC and the 18 intel agencies, then why would he say that, knowing he's going to be proven false? Because people on the concentrated interest, I hate the Jews side, don't care if he's proven false. He's a useful idiot for them, just like Flynn. Listen to Joe Kent lie to your face about the USIC saying that Iran was not looking to rebuild their nuclear program. This is just made up. Check this out.
The 18 intelligence agencies to agree on anything, it's very challenging. It is a very laborious and it's sometimes a very intense process of coordination and having people argue their cases. When you have the 18 intelligence agencies saying without a doubt that Iran is not working towards a nuclear weapon, and the Defense Intelligence Agency doing battle damage assessment, which is what the DIA really specializes in, is having these military-based assessments. That's what I'm going to go with. being influenced by the IAEA or by another government, Israel in this case, saying like, oh no, even though you conducted Midnight Hammer and your 18 intelligence agencies say that their nuclear capability is gone, they're still somehow digging out from the rubble, and they're going to be able to assemble 10 bombs in 2 weeks. Again, sorry, I'm going with with what the director of national intelligence said, and she's saying that based on the research and the analysis and the rigorous debate of 18 intelligence agencies.
Joe's a liar. That is factually incorrect. Joe's full of shit. Joe's just making that up. Matter of fact, just before we came on the air, this is a little over a minute, this clip, but it's worth your time. Donald Trump was asked about Joe Kent's ridiculous claims that the Iranians, who maintain 440 kilograms of 60% enriched material, they don't need 60% for anything but one single purpose. What do you think it is? Nuclear medicine? No, it's a nuclear bomb. Kent is lying to your face. You notice how he secretes in there too? The Israelis, the Jews did it. And that's why the suckers don't care. When the record comes out and shows over time conclusively Joe Kent is lying about everything. Charlie Kirk, Butler, Iran, President Trump. The people who hate the Jews don't care because he slipped in there like, the Israelis did it. He's full of shit. Here's President Trump completely filleting this guy this morning, telling you how full of shit he is. You believe President Trump, who has access to every piece of intel in the government he wants. He is the lead official on intel, classification of intel. You believe him or you believe Flynn and Flynn's kid and Igor and Kent? It's up to you. Here's Donald Trump.
Mr. President, do you know whether Joe Kent was leaking?
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at, and you never cover this, if you look at his truths or whatever he went on, he was all for everything. All of a sudden, he wasn't. He was a man that I met at Dover. He came and his wife was killed. He remarried fairly quickly. His wife was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again, and he lost. I said, you know, he's a guy, nice guy, seemed like a very nice guy. I met him, he was pretty heartbroken, But I said, you know, it's a shame. He ran for Congress twice. Call him up, give him a job in the White House. Smart. They gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me, you know? Being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much. Think of it. He loses twice in Congress, ran not very good campaigns, should have won, but he loses twice. How do I get him? I have my people call him, because I didn't deal with him for the most part. I saw him a couple of times, but I never dealt with him at all. I had no idea his ideology was left or right, whatever it is. I can say this. He said very strongly that Iran is not a threat. Iran's been a threat for 47 years, and there's not a country in the world that doesn't agree with me on that. And what does he do? He goes out and he says that Iran is not a threat to get publicity. Now, he probably signed up with CNN or maybe signed up with your division of Newsmax. I don't know. But
folks, tell me again how this is infighting. This is not infighting. This is a group of infiltrators secreting themselves in our party, again, trying to dismantle a winning coalition so they can take the remnants of it and take the Trump vote without the Trump. This is so obvious. Isn't it clear what they're doing? Now, I get it. If you hate the Jews and this is your only thing, I understand. Like, you don't want the truth. You just want to kill people and stuff. We've seen this before. I get that. But to the people who claim to be interested in debate and truth, are you ever going to ask these people, if you know something, please say it? They never tell you anything. And it should tell you something here, by the way. The Washington Post in this tweet all of a sudden found their new hero, Joe Kent. Here we go again with the whose ox is gourd effect. The second you turn on Trump, you're a freaking superhero. You know what? I'll get to that in a second. I got to take a quick break. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Who's really your friend? The Washington Post and Joe Kent or Donald Trump? Only you can answer that question. I know who my friend is, and it's not the Washington Post and Joe Kent. an ally. Man, this is a heavy show today. I got a lot more. We're not even close to done. Hey, losing weight's an absolute pain. Listen, I've been there. You look in the mirror, you're getting a little gooey. It sucks. I have a really bad knee, left knee. I decided I had to lose some weight. You know, people tell me when they see me in public, I look a little too thin. I don't think so. I don't know. I'll have to take that up with Paula. I lost about 30 pounds using Lean. It's a great product. Lean. Love it. By Brickhouse Nutrition. Get Lean today. You know how those weight loss injections work? They control your appetite. They help control blood sugar. They curb your appetite so you eat less. It's really not a mystery how they work. That's what Lean was created to do. Me and Paula use it. We absolutely love it. Replicate the benefits of injections without the needles. You know, those GLP-1 injections. That's how they work. It's really simple. It's not complicated. Lean supports healthy blood sugar and helps reduce spikes and crashes that drive snacking and cravings and that extra weight. But Lean, Lean, goes a step further. Lean. It helps your body burn fat into energy instead of storing it. No prescriptions, no needles. If you're thinking about losing weight, this is the product for you. It works. Again, I tried it, personally vouched for it. Visit brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use promo code Dan to get 20% off. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan, promo code Dan. Check it out. Lean, great product. Love it. Check it out today, Brickhouse Nutrition. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA, not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It's not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Thanks, Brickhouse Nutrition. These guys are rock stars. They've been with us for a while. Here's the tweet from the Washington Post. Again, this is infighting. I thought the Washington Post was on the outside. Yes, they are on the outside. So if the Washington Post all of a sudden is like, well, the counterterrorism guy, instead of calling them a conspiracy theorist, which they used to in the past, then all of a sudden you should be asking yourself some questions. Look at the Washington Post tweet. Joe Kent, who resigned from the National Counterterrorism Center in protest of the Iran war, says he's making his case to fellow conservatives through a series of interviews with podcasters popular among President Trump's political base. The same podcasters they've been shitting on for the last 10 plus years. Now all of a sudden they're heroes to them. You see how the grift works? Yeah, you're damn right we're going to call it out. You don't have to thank me in the chat. I appreciate it. But you're part of this too. You guys got a lot more balls than anyone in this fight. I've got these creators that I follow on X with 10,000 followers. We got 7 million. And they're out there every day up against the army of We Hate the Jews bots and everyone else, fighting a good fight. Folks, this story is way, way deeper. There are people who secreted themselves inside the administration, taking advantage of President Trump's benevolence and goodwill, who've done that to sabotage him from the inside because they're trying to break and steal his lineage. Now, Joe Kent's saying that Iran wasn't an imminent threat. Ballistic missiles, no big deal. The fact that they had the death to America nuclear weapons capability, that even though we destroyed their facilities, they still had their nuclear material. He's saying, oh, they were no imminent threat. Don't you find it weird now the Washington Post has created a hero out of him and the podcast space that turned anti-Trump's created a hero out of him? And now, check this out. He's got another friend in John Brennan. Yes, John Brennan. I don't understand how John Brennan, the deep stater, John Brennan, who, if you read open source information, seems to be in a little bit of trouble himself. This is your ally in the movement now? You both have the exact same approach to Iran not being an imminent threat? Don't you see what's going on here? You doubt me? Here's John Brennan with the exact same talking points as Joe Kent. Check this out.
This means that it's in the near term, it's on the horizon, it's coming, sooner rather than later. But there's no intelligence that I've seen coming out in any type of reporting that suggests that either from a ballistic missile standpoint or from a nuclear standpoint, or even from a terrorist standpoint, that there was anything imminent that the United States really needed to go forward with this invasion of Iranian airspace and the bombing campaign. And so therefore, I think the lies are coming fast and furiously as a way to justify the rationale for the war. And there really is no rationale for it.
Joe Kent and John Brennan all of a sudden are spouting the exact same talking points. It's almost like they all got the bat signal. Now is the time to take down MAGA. It's almost like they all got the sign at the same time. You see, they all have the same interests. I'm not telling you Brennan and Kent collaborate. I'm telling you they don't need to. The left sees an opportunity here to fracture this coalition from the inside, and the Washington Post is now going to make these guys out to be heroes, while John Brennan goes out and goes, hey, I may have misjudged this guy, and the left-wing media. The ballistic missiles weren't an imminent threat? You realize they lied about, now just to be clear, because receipts matter, correct? So, we have U.S. military assets throughout the region in the Middle East. Why? Because it's a global economy, folks, and we really don't have a choice. Don't tell me about like interventionism. I ran against this stuff and put my name on a ballot. So don't give me your bullshit like, oh, the guy's a neocon. You can shut the fuck. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're just some clown bot on Twitter. However, there is zero doubt that our military footprint has to be global. We have global interests. You want the economy to shut down, the global economy, your kids not to have antibiotics or fuel or natural gas. We have a global economy. Unfortunately, it has to be secured by military assets around the world. We have military assets in the region. The Iranians have constantly said, hey, listen, we only have ballistic missiles that stay in the local area, 2,000 kilometers or less. Basically, the Iranians are saying, because we just want to kill the Jews with these missiles, right? And now it turns out that those Iranian missiles that they lied about can actually go a lot further because they lied. You think President Trump didn't know that? Did Joe Kent not know that? Here's the Iranian regime lying about their missile capacity because they know we have U.S. assets just outside that 2,000 kilometers. They said this very specifically. Here, receipts yourself. Joe Kent, watch this. Check this out.
Kept the range of our missiles below 2,000 kilometers. So we don't have that capability, and we don't want to do that, because we don't have any hostility against, the United States people or Europeans or whatsoever.
Okay, so Joe Kent and John Brennan agree that the Iranian missiles are just basically for the Israelis and others, 2,000 kilometers. Really? Here's Donald Trump, the president of the United States, who has access to way more intelligence than Joe Kent during the State of the Union. Now you just have to ask yourself in the audience, do you believe Joe Kent or do you believe Donald Trump? Do you believe Igor or do you believe Donald Trump? What do you believe? Here's Donald Trump telling you in the State of the Union that, hey, there's a threat there. I may not be able to go into deep detail, but he's already said it. Joe Kent must have missed this. Check this out.
Already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions.
I thought Joe Kent said the missiles weren't a threat. He's telling you they're working towards building a ballistic missile that can reach here while they have nuclear fuel capable of a nuclear weapon. They're not in it for nuclear medicine. You were the NCTC head. You didn't know this? Or are you lying? You're lying because I know you know this. You're just lying because you got the Flynn bug, the grift. The grift feels good. Your small group of people, you know our people, the MAGA crowd, are busy winning elections. We're not going to show up at an event for you guys outside in the lobby, real everyday average Americans who just care about the country, calling you and all kinds of stuff like that. But you have a small group of lunatics who will do that for you, and you like it. You like being feted by them because that's all that matters to you because you have no balls. You don't have any guts. You may have had them at one time, but you don't have them now. Here's a tweet by Piers Morgan, who hates Donald Trump at this point. I wouldn't say he hates Donald Trump, but definitely hates this Iran war. Here's even Piers Morgan, just to show you, giving you this wide spectrum of people so you don't think I'm isolating out the real MAGA folks. Here's Piers Morgan like, hey, man, maybe Donald Trump was right. So not only has Iran brazenly lied about its ballistic missile range capacity, but this means it can probably hit the UK with them. And we have zero, I repeat, zero, all caps, defense against these missiles. Very worrying. Joe Kent said none of this stuff was imminent. Next, he's going to tell you they weren't trying to attack the United States. What's he going to tell you next? There was no lethal plotting? I don't understand. Like, what's next? Folks, it's amazing how you bring receipts again, and you've got this pocket of people so filled with hatred, they don't want the truth, man. You feed them the truth. It's like the dog who doesn't like the kibble and kicks the bowl. I'm not interested in the truth. I just like bullshit. That's why so many people hate us being back on the air with 1 million people watching the show. The views on the show. You can go check that out too. They hate it because they don't want the truth out there. Here's a Fox News report on the same missiles Joe Kent apparently is unaware of in the development program. Kent doesn't know this, but Donald Trump's lying. I'm lying. Cash is lying. Ratcliffe's, everybody's lying but you. Weird. Check this out.
Diego Garcia, a long way from the stated ranges of Iran's missiles. Remember, it's just a few years ago, the late Ayatollah said they don't have any missiles that go this far. So officials say it's very clear he was lying, as well as other Iranian officials. Diego Garcia, 4,000 kilometers away. For Charlie, let's put this in miles, about 2,500 miles. And previously, Iran said their missiles only go 2,000 kilometers, or about 1,300 miles. So clearly this demonstrates that 3 weeks into this war, Iran still has some ability to launch some ballistic missiles, and apparently some ballistic missiles that nobody knew they had, perhaps the CIA and Mossad as well. But President Trump says he thinks this war is starting to wind down after more than 15,000 missions between the United States and Israeli air forces.
You know, can you put up the Trump True Social tweet about the negotiations? I was going to put it last in the show. But again, these folks out there now pretending this is now all of a sudden, you know, Donald Trump's lying. Here's Donald Trump. He said this morning he's pleased to announce to America that basically he got negotiations going on with Iran. Of course, the Iranians are denying this. The Iranians are denying it because I don't think the Iranians know who's in charge. Maybe I'll get to this in a little more detail. But we don't do forever wars appears to be already closing the forever window that only lasted less than a month. I thought it was a forever war. And you're still pissed off. So what are you against now? What are you against now? The answer is you're against Trump. You know you're against Trump. You just don't want to say it because you want the Trump vote without the Trump. So you claim as a hidden set of knowledge that when you and your people get elected, then you're going to tell us what it is. You're going to tell us who killed Charlie. You're going to tell us all the hidden knowledge you have about the Epstein case and other stuff. All the hidden knowledge. You have it. You're going to tell us all this stuff later on. Your hidden knowledge about Butler that you have. No one else has it but you. Of course, the president's not interested. He's only shot in the head. It's a bunch of hidden knowledge on that, too. And he doesn't want it out there because, why? But you know. See, here's the difference. We just spent a good 40-something minutes on the show producing receipts, actual videos, commentary, Donald Trump's own words, facts. There was a missile strike or a missile launched at Diego Garcia outside of the Iranians' own stated perimeter of their missile capabilities. That's a fact. If you don't know that, you're just really stupid. Telling people, oh, it wasn't a threat. The Iranians have been honest about their ballistic missile program. I just proved to you they're full of shit. That's a data point. What these other jokers, Igor and his crew of losers, Little Guy, Ogre, Joe Kent, and others do, is they just throw out information and never actually put an equal sign in the middle. 2, 2, 2, 10.
It's a data point.
It's a data point. That's actually not. 2 + 2 + 2 is 6. Then they're like, well, he's going to get to the other 2 2s late. I'm sure of it. No, he's not. Because he doesn't have it. I want to show you what an actual data point looks like when you actually produce information because you're a smart person and you're not a grifter loser. Here's Victor Davis Hansen, very smart guy, and I wish him well. I know he's been through some health issues, so God bless you. A genius. Guy who's been around this movement a long time. I interviewed him on my weekend show on WMAL like 10 years ago. Here's Victor Davis Hansen talking about what's going on over there. And I want you to see the difference between him and Joe Kent. Joe Kent, I got some things I know, but I can't tell you the specifics. It wasn't a threat. How do you know that? I can't say. Here's VDH, who wasn't even in the government. using actual data points to show you that, hey, this looks like it's actually going quite well and may wrap up sometime pretty soon. Check this out.
There's enough evidence to see how things are really going. Europeans would never agree to go anywhere near Iran unless they thought the tide was turning and they think that we're going to win. Otherwise, they would keep still. And the reason that the petro nations of the Gulf survive is they have their finger in the wind and they're very attuned to the climate. And when you have Al Jazeera praising the United States bombing campaign and saying that it's been underestimated and it's brilliant and effective, you get the feeling that they think not only should the United States finish the job, but it can and will finish the job. And then when you start to see tactical aircraft like Warthogs and Apaches, that means that they're offering almost ground and sea support to hit targets. There's no defense at all when you have that type of aircraft flying at will in Iranian airspace. So you put it all together, and I think it's pretty clear that this rope-a-dope strategy that they have, that we're going to tire before they are, is dependent on just public opinion, the midterms in the United States. And if Trump sees it through, and I think he will, I think they're going to fall pretty soon.
VDH has actual information. He doesn't show correlation there. He's showing causal activities. We attack Iran, take out the mullah leadership. The UAE all of a sudden is looking at financial sanctions. The UAE's been used by Iran to launder money and proceeds for a long time. Joe, this is called data. A ballistic missile where the Iranian propagandists told us couldn't fly more than 2,000 kilometers magically did this weekend. How do we know? Because it happened. So they were lying? Yes, but I thought you said they weren't a threat. That's called data. That's called reason. That's called logic. Use it sometime. I know the grift is strong with you guys. I get it. I understand. I know the grift is strong. And the desire to be loved by this small pocket of lunatics at your little dopey events. I understand. It's powerful, the allure. But you know what's more powerful? The truth and doing the right thing. I told you, man. It's not some kind of dopey flex. It's just a fact. We've been in this business a long, long time. I've seen this stuff come and go. And when your lodestar is chaos and dishonesty, it does not last. It doesn't last. It's the Morton Downey Jr. effect. I can't say enough. That guy had the talk show, for those of you my age, remember, he had higher ratings than Oprah Winfrey. Some of you out there are like, who the hell's Morton Downey Jr.? That's the point. The guy did some hoax in an airport where he said he got attacked by a bunch of white supremacists, and that was the last you ever heard of the dude. Because people don't want to be lied to over and over. Everything these people are telling you is bullshit. Little Igor, I can't believe they're putting meme pictures up. They're so nasty. I just wanted a pleasant discourse with it. Really? Really? By showing up at a MAG event screaming like lunatics? Nearly getting trespassed off the property? Calling people faggots and stuff? They recorded it. They were proud of it. I love how they're all so tough, too. They're all so tough. The three of them show up. I'm there with my wife and my friends at an event, volunteered to speak, to raise money for Republican Party candidates, trying to get Republicans elected. You get three goofballs show up screaming like lunatics, nearly crying like little girls at the end when they get tossed out. And they're all such badasses. You know why? They know they're not going to do anything because they know what happens. The minute I respond, what do? They get a bunch of liberal lawyers to sue me. Then they think, oh, you guys are magically so tough. And then you get the camera turned on them. I can't believe you guys took pictures of us. Well, maybe you don't show up with stormtrooper outfits on and sombreros and stuff. Some of you. Oh, that's an instant classic. Folks, the media is working with these people here to tell you a story and not this story about Iran. There was this clip on CNN, this Lydia Moynihan, who I met once or twice at Fox. I think she was on my show. She does a pretty good job. She's been doing some commentary on CNN. She's kind of been filling in a little bit when Scott Jennings isn't around. She was on CNN and she brought this up the other day. How the media and these black pillar doomers are so eager for us to lose this war in Iran. However short or long it goes, they are so eager for us to lose that they will share the same talking points. Even the doomers, oh my gosh, gas and oil prices. Gas and oil prices, they were holding the freaking Strait hostage for the last 47 years. Scott Besson said it right. Yeah, there may be a temporary rise in prices, but we could get 50 years of sanity in the Strait out of this. Here's Lydia Moynihan saying, you guys are really funny. When prices went up during the Ukraine-Russia war in the beginning under Biden, you guys had every excuse in the book why it wasn't Biden's fault. But now all of a sudden, Donald Trump was trying to secure a long-term level set price of gasoline so they can't hold the Strait hostage. Now all of a sudden, you're fake pissed off. This is a great point. Check this out.
I just want to point out that there is a vast trove of reporting over the last few years saying that the president shouldn't be responsible for gas prices. When Biden was in office, CNN reported Americans blamed Biden for record prices at the pump. Biden had relatively little control over the prices set primarily by global markets. In 2025, CNN reported gasoline prices are coming down, and President Trump is happy to take credit for that. I would just note every other time period, the media tries to say that the president...
No, that's not the question that Lydia asked. Lydia asked who's responsible for the gas prices going up $1 per gallon in the last 30 days.
When Russia invaded Ukraine, it was all Putin's prices.
Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, but we knew they were going to do that.
But I'm saying when Russia invaded Ukraine, everyone was happy to blame Putin. Why can't we blame Iran?
Hold on, guys.
Do you ever notice with this Abby Phillips, too, whenever Scott Jennings or Lydia are making a point, she always has to intercept and become the referee for the left because they know they're being made fools of? You just got done telling us during the Russia-Ukraine war that's still ongoing that Biden, who was the president before Donald Trump, for all the morons who missed it, was not responsible for gas prices and it's this global hostilities thing. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's trying to secure gasoline and so you can fill up your freaking car and heat your house for the next 50 years, and you're bitching about it. The answer is, it's not that you're bitching about it because you care. You're bitching about it because you hate Donald Trump, just like Igor and his goofballs. You can't stand him, and you know it. And don't tell me Donald Trump didn't have a plan. I'm going to show you what I mean coming up in a second. There is a plan. There's always been a plan. But these plans, just like you have a plan for a football game, variables kick in. A guy fumbles the football. You didn't prepare for that. Doesn't mean you don't have a plan. You go from plan A to plan B. If he fumbles, we'll do this. Not even telling you they fumbled the football. I'm just telling you things happen. Quick break, and I'll show you what I mean. Hey, watering around the house shouldn't feel like a battle, but those old-fashioned hoses, you wind up doing like a weightlifting workout to get these hoses out. Those old-fashioned hoses with kinks and creases at the spigot, they make it one. So I love the brand new pocket hose, Copperhead, featuring the pocket pivot. I use these around my house, really easy to use. The clever pivot swivels a full 360 degrees, so you get smooth, consistent water flow and total freedom to move anywhere in your yard. And when you're done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose actually shrinks back to a pocket size. It does. It's like fits right in just about like that. Plus, it's ultra durable and still super lightweight. It even comes back by a 10-year warranty, which says a lot. The brand new pocket hose Copperhead with pocket pivot is a total game changer. Really super easy to use, easy to store. I saw it on TV. I picked one up. They became actually a sponsor later, which is interesting. I love to use the products. The hose looks really cool. Using it myself, even better. For a limited time, my listeners can get a free pocket pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text Bongino, Bongino, to 64,000. Text Bongino to 64,000. That's Bongino to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Text Bongino, Bongino to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Thanks, Pocket Hose. Really cool product. Appreciate you joining the show today. Put up that True Social post, the other one I had from Donald Trump. Folks, there was always a plan. I told you what the plan was in the region. The global oil market is very susceptible to ups and downs. You've got Brent crude. You've got Western Texas crude. We have the ability to produce a lot of our own oil and natural gas. When you combine that with the Canadians, and we're going to have to do some work there as well. we have the ability to basically insulate ourselves, not from spikes, but from really incredibly dramatic spikes like we saw when my mother and father were younger and we had the gas crisis in and around that Carter era. Donald Trump understands that the world is more susceptible. So if you guys don't want to help us, he put this up, without the U.S., NATO is a paper tiger. He's basically telling NATO, hey, boys, gals, you want to get in this fight or what? These people have been threatening you. Piers Morgan himself, who's not even a huge fan of Trump's policies, like, hey, these missiles can hit the UK. They can hit U.S. bases, joint bases in the area, Diego Garcia, and they're working to try to hit the United States. You guys want to get in this fight or what? You're the ones who are more susceptible to global fluctuations in the oil market than we are. Freaking unbelievable, man. You've got this collective effort, I'm telling you, by the doomers, the media, and the left to fracture this unbelievably beautiful thing we've created. This Make America Great Again movement. See the grift and scrap it. Cut it out of your life. That block button is your best friend. You've not earned the right. It's not a free speech thing, losers. I've invested all my money in platforms where you can go out and bash the hell out of me all you want. You don't get to come on my timeline. Those are my people. Use the button wisely. It's all bots and bullshit. You can see it. They all put the same thing out there. Folks, we have to walk and juggle chainsaws at the same time. It's walk and chew gum. No, walk and chew gum. We have to walk and juggle chainsaws at the same time. We don't have a choice. The walk is the fight we've always had against the collectivist left trying to take away our freedoms. That has always been our fight. This new fight is this infection that comes up in this party every 10 years or so, where a group of losers infiltrate and try to take us down. We've got to operate on both fronts at the same time. We don't have a choice. It is not a fight I asked for. I didn't ask for a couple of losers to show up in sombreros at an event this weekend. I didn't ask for that. They did. And now you're getting it. Because we got to fight against what I know to be the real enemy here, and that's the collectivist left. Folks, you got a party out there. A story is emerging. I just saw it come out this week. This poor woman in Chicago, Loyola student, killed. The main suspect is a Venezuelan illegal immigrant. You got another Laken Riley story brewing. The Democrats have the government shut down right now basically to protect these illegals. That's all this is about. That's all this is about. They don't even care. You had a plane incident in an airport in LaGuardia this morning. 2 people died. You would think the Democrats, if there was an honest media, would be running in front of the cameras, eager to say, all right, enough is enough. Open up the airports. This is bullshit. We've gone too far. They don't care. They don't give a shit at all. The Atlanta airport just put this out. If you've ever been to Atlanta, the airport is enormous. Due to staffing constraints at TSA, they're encouraging passengers to arrive 4 hours early. 4 hours. The Democrats are doing this to you. Don't you understand? The only votes being withheld to open up the government when it comes to TSA and DHS and basically airport security funding right now are by Democrats who are holding their votes back. It's not the Republicans. Again, I'm not telling you the Republicans are the solution to all your problems. I'm telling you the cause of your problems now are Democrats. That's a fact. Now, I agree with the argument of many out there that this is an argument that airport security should be privatized again. I totally agree, 100%. The problem is I deal in the real world, and the real world is the now. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet, and the past is already gone. It's not an Eckhart Tolle book. It's just a fact. You live in the now. And in the now, we're stuck with the government running security at airports. And ironically, the Democrats who tell you how great a solution big government is in your life, everywhere from airport security to social welfare programs, have now shut down the one thing that keeps you safe on a plane that they told you was the solution. Folks, there's a real enemy out there. And I believe me when I tell you, it gives me absolutely no pleasure in having to walk and juggle these chainsaws at the same time. But I've been through this before. This is not the first time. Doesn't it make sense to you? Like, you got people out there who've been through these fights, Levin, Dana Lash, and others, and Ben, who are warning you this goes nowhere. You want to destroy the right like the left destroyed the left with men's penises in the bathroom, defund the police where they got obliterated in elections. We have the House, the Senate, and the White House. Then continue down this path. It's the Dan Bongino cannibalism theory. When grifters and bums, when they have the opposite party in office, the grifters kind of, their voices, everybody's aligned in the same direction. Go get Joe Biden. But the minute we win, if the we is not their specific guy, they don't care about the country or the party. They just care about their guy because there's money in it. They immediately go on attack. The left does this and cannibalize their own movement because there's money in it. You want to get back to the defund the police left? You really think this is where we need to be? You're willing to forfeit a midterm election, have Donald Trump impeached, to put AOC and her team back in charge? You know how crazy that is? I want to show you this video, when you talk about how my principles stayed the same. Support our police officers. Yes, oversight is healthy and good. Support our military. They're the best of the best. When they do something wrong, got to call it out. We'll do an investigation. However, I support these guys. I saw this video making its way around this week, and this is what these guys got to deal with. Here's a couple of police officers down in Florida, and they get into it with this guy. Imagine this is your work day. You're not going to work, sitting in front of a computer, typing out a spreadsheet about what oil futures look like. This is your work day, having to respond to this basically 5 days a week, if not more. Check this out.
Stay down. Four kids there, dispatch, fighting with one. I'll stay where you need. Come on, let's go.
I want you to hear this. That's why I've not
Give me the other one.
seen it much.
Give me the other hand. Custody. Okay. 2 in custody.
That's at the source media, hat tip. That's what these guys got to deal with every day. So just to be clear, you want to make sure Donald Trump gets impeached. We lose the midterms. So the defund the police, men in the women's room, wealth tax, Obamacare, non-school choice left goes and wins elections because that's going to make your life better. You don't want the guy in there in office, Donald Trump, who sealed the border almost overnight, produced the safest America you've ever seen in its entire history based on actual data points. The guy who made sure your taxes didn't go up through the big, beautiful bill. The guy who's finally got an arm around when Biden's peak 9% inflation, where it's not great, but down from where Biden was. The guy who removed Maduro from power, an enemy of the United States in our hemisphere. A guy who destroyed the Iranian mullah class after they've been holding us hostage for 50 years. You want him out of there in exchange for the defund the police, AOC, bankruptcy. Let's not make the U.S. the world's reserve currency left to make sure interest rates are through the roof and the economy collapses. That's the people you want in charge. Are you freaking insane? Folks, it was a lot of show today, and I really hope you take this all in and take this very seriously. It's one thing to have principled objections, and I respect that. It's a whole other thing to be an unprincipled piece of shit. And to take the trust someone put in you, whether it's me and Flynn or the president, Joe Kent, and then turn around and turn on everyone because the grift is strong. Good people don't do that. Good people don't do that. I'm sad that happened to you. I'm sad you got overtaken. You let the evil in. All right, folks, I'm going to bug out today, but that was a lot. And I hope you take it all in and spread the word. Cut this cancer out of your life or it's going to infect you. Make sure you check out Haley at noon, rumble.com/Haley. Vince every day at 8 a.m., rumble.com/Vince. I really appreciate you supporting the shows. And as always, go to rumble.com/Bongino or download the Rumble app or do both. It's free. It'll get you to the same spot, basically. Go there and just click that follow button. We really appreciate it. We had a big week last week. Again, we had 4 million views. I wasn't even in for 2 of the days. The great Sean Farish was. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Download the Rumble app. Give us a follow. I will see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Karania.
Host of Vince.
Host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here.
Right here on the Bongino Report channel.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Noon weekdays. And if you miss it, no worries. The show will always be right here and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.